Hey everybody. I wanted to do a little debrief. I just finished a consultation with a bride who wants to do a wedding dress remake. It was her mother's dress that her mom actually didn't get to wear. Um, Really quite a lovely story. These two gals were absolutely delightful. And so I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the process that I go through when I do a consultation of this style. So, the first time I meet with a bride to discuss either a custom dress or a remake is I'm trying to understand what they're wanting from me. Because at the end, I want to come up with a bullet pointed list of everything so that we get our expectations in line and I know how to charge for that. Because I can be like, I gave you this, check. I gave you this, check. I gave you this, check. And then pay me. So, I'm looking for keywords, I'm looking for expectations, I'm looking for all of these details along with the dress shape, profile, dates, basic stuff. But at this first time meeting them, I also want to see if we mesh well personality wise. Working on any dress, whether it's custom or a remake, we're going to spend a little bit of time together, and it will be helpful if we think similarly, but also if we don't think similarly, that's fine too, as long as I can understand how they think, what things are important to her for her wedding day, things, just how she thinks, what her process is. If I can figure out what things are important in her life, what things matter to her, that helps me too, because I know how to communicate with her. I'm also looking for any sort of wishy-washiness. I'm looking for areas where I'm going to have to communicate with her in a special way, or if I'm going to have to drag things out of her, or vice versa. If she's going to be very chatty and change her mind a lot with lots of details and going to call me after we do a fitting and say, I want to change everything we did. So I'm looking for some consistency in there that makes sense to me to where I can offer her my services and give her the product she's expecting. I want to fall somewhere between just shy of designing. I don't want to design things for people necessarily. I have a design degree, but not in fashion. I want to be somewhere between designing and making what they're asking for and following them step by step. I want to come somewhere between there. We have a nice balance of a beautiful design that's well constructed. So listening to their details about their venue or about how they met. This particular bride was super sweet. They were telling me, it was her mom and her telling me about how the wedding dress came to be. That she didn't end up using it. The mom ended up eloping because she wanted to have a stress-free situation. She bought the dress with her own money. And something was so beautiful about that. I love that we're going to honor her work, her effort that she used to make the money to purchase this dress. We're going to finally use it. And her daughter is supposedly not a very sentimental person, but when she realized that you could have a dress remade to wear it she started crying about it. And her mom's like, yeah, she's not a crier. So I'm going to send them a quote and a bid yet, and I'm so excited. I really hope I get this one, because how wonderful to be able to take this mom's hard-earned money on this dress and finally put it to good use on a beautiful body, on her daughter of all things. That's just lovely to me. Some remakes are just, I don't know, they're a little bit different. This one feels like a nice connection. I'm really excited about it. And that's kind of what inspired me to want to share how this process works, because there's a little bit of emotion involved. And I feel like your product comes out better when you can connect with the bride on that kind of level. They're very family-oriented people. They have land and a farm, and a lot of that is just vibes with me. So I feel like we're going to communicate really well beyond having photographs, because everybody needs to show you photographs of what their goals are as far as the bodice and the hemlines and the cuts and the materials and all that stuff. That's a huge part of any sort of design process, is getting on the same page with photographs, because they're not going to be able to tell you, oh, I want a sweetheart with a floating neckline and a horsehair hem. They're going to be like, I want like this and I want like that. They're going to use their hands a lot and not know the words that we know. So it's getting all on the same page together. It's going to make a lot of sense. And then some remakes are just as simple as they want the hem, to fit them. It needs let out a little bit, because most of the gals in our age range and their moms who are in my age range, and my mom's age range, just need the dresses made to fit them, because our moms got married so young and they had tiny bodies because they were 16, 17, 18, 19. My mom was 19 when she got married, so her dress don't fit me at all, even the tiniest little bit. I don't think I could fit a thigh in there. So most of it is Simple in the sense that you're removing sleeves, hemming, maybe checking the bustle if it still exists, and sometimes stain removal or freshening up the fabric or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm discerning, is how much is redesigned, how much is recut, because then some people bring a whole dress to you and then you're basically just using the fabric from it. They don't want any of the design features saved, and it really doesn't end up saving them any money, because honestly the materials can be the most expensive part of the dress. The design work and the labor is really the most intense portion. So that just kind of helps them get into the ballpark of understanding what they're going to be paying for, because sometimes it's a budget thing. They'll bring you a dress thinking that's going to help save them a lot of money when it really doesn't. This is really more of a sentimental thing than a budget thing. Unless you're exactly the same size, shape, height as your mom, the dress probably is not going to actually help in any way, which I'm sure you guys already know. So that's kind of what I'm listening for, is if I'm a good fit, if I make sense, if I'm going to fit into their budget, what they're looking for. And then I wrote a few keywords down while I was meeting with them. Nothing particularly helpful, just because, like I said, they made such an impression on me. I really didn't need to make a ton of notes. I wrote down which parts of the dress she loved and wants to keep. And actually, there's kind of a lot of details she wants to keep and use, which is going to be really, really great. We just need to make the bodice. I need to cut the bodice from the dress, fit the body to her, reshape the sleeves, and add a different skirt. She wants an A-line tulle skirt, so that'll be a lot of fun, I think. And then what I'll do after this is write them a quote. So I want to write a step-by-step what to expect at each phase. I'll probably do billable phases so they can pay me along each step. So that way it's not one big bill at the end, no surprises. I don't like surprise bills for people, because those are the ones that don't pay. And I don't like work I don't get paid for. That's not my favorite. So I would much rather take 5 small payments from them or something like that along the way. And then 2, they can fit it in with their paychecks. It's much more, cost effective. It's a very human approach, which I really like. And then it kind of helps me know how much time to block off in my schedule. So I won't overbook myself, and I'll know that they're serious about the process. I did explain to them that anything they pay towards materials is non-refundable, because obviously I can't do anything with fabric that's already been cut. And it's their dress, so I'm not going to resell it to make money off of it if they disappear, which I didn't need to explain to them. They were very smart, and they understood that anything they pay is non-refundable. Sometimes people don't get it, but like I said, we vibed. So I'll write up a quote. I think it's going to take between 5 and 7 fittings. I need to kind of game plan it. I want to be really clear with what's happening in each fitting. They drive in from probably about an hour's distance from me, so I want to make sure that I use all of their time effectively when they come over, both for theirs and for my sake, because I only need a babysitter every time I fit them. So I want to make sure we're using all the time very wisely. She's comfortable with seeing me work and cut on the dress, so we can actually have a work session style fitting when I see her, to where the first time I can actually disassemble the dress and have it in some pieces to fit it on her, which will be really helpful. Some brides, you have to really, really do a lot of work before you see them, because they can't stand to see the dress in pieces or chunks or anything like that, and it's a lot more prep work for each time you see them. Obviously there's work to do in between each fitting, but you almost have to be closed back up every time, because they don't want to see the guts of the dress, which can be a little bit more challenging. So I kind of try to factor that in based on, like I said, I'm looking for, this particular girl fixes cars, so I think she's going to be totally fine seeing the guts of the dress. She's probably be really excited to be part of the process, which I told her I'm very happy to have. We can throw her dress on the mannequin, and she can help me decide where she wants appliques, sprinkled through the skirt and stuff like that. Some people really love the process, and some people don't. And it sounds like she might be interested in, a little bit of the process, which would be really fun. So I'm factoring that we're going to do work session style fittings, which I think are enjoyable. You get a lot done at each one. So that's why I said between 5 and 7. So 7 would be if she doesn't want to help me at all with anything, which is totally fine. We'll probably need a little bit more so that I can get more done and show her things at different steps or whatever. There is some lace for me to hand cut. There's some really pretty flowers I'm going to turn into some applique. There's also trim I need to take off around the whole. It's got a detachable train. This dress is killer. I'm going to post some photos, I think. It's got a awesome butt bow and a big satin detachable train with trim all around it. So I'm going to remove the trim, because she wants to use that on the dress at the bottom of her tulle skirt, which I think is going to be really pretty. So I'm going to try to just figure out all the fine details and break it all down. assign some prices to each section. They might not all be even because some stages might have more work in them than others, and I just kind of want to keep up with it for myself so that I'm billing according to what I've already worked on. And then I told her we can keep going. So if we end up getting the dress together and she likes the skirt without the trim, we don't even have to go into that step. But if she wants to go into the next step and be like, yeah, let's go ahead and have the trim, we can go into that next step and then she can pay more at that time. If she wants to continue with appliques, we can go into that. So we can kind of turn up the volume as we go. So she can stop at any time and we're never really like behind the money. The money will always be ahead of it, if that makes sense. I don't really like projects where I'm like waiting to get paid because I want to know they're serious. And again, that's really what the consultation is for, is to determine their level of seriousness, because I don't want to be dilly-dallying myself when I could be doing other jobs that'll pay me, not waiting around for somebody who's not making their mind up or, between stuff. And I got a good vibe from them, so I think this is going to be a really nice project to bid on. And I'll submit that to them via email. I'll probably send a copy to her and her mom so they can see the game plan and see if I've missed anything, see if they like it, and then go from there, which I already had gotten verbal confirmation. Mom, she was like, I love you, this is going to be great. So I'm hoping as long as I come back with a good number for them, a good estimate, I think things will go really well. You usually will know after the first consultation. I only set them for 30 minutes, but if we end up liking each other, it could go into 45 minutes or an hour. I'll keep that in mind for when I'm putting things together, if they're going to be chatty with me, so that I'll know each session might be a little longer than I expect and kind of factor that in as I go. I can talk a lot also, so that's partially on me to watch the time every time I do a fitting with somebody, is just to make sure I'm being timely. It just happens when you're making something custom, you can go over hours very easily, so you want to be on track with your time. Either set a timer for yourself or have a big clock in your sewing room so that you can pay attention to how much time you've put into it just at the fittings. There's not the sewing involved, only is got to do the fittings, the materials, and your fitting, like your sewing time. It's got to be all the components factored in. So anyways, that's just a brief little overview. We'll see how the rest of the project goes. If you guys do any styles of consultation like this, you'll know this is pretty standard stuff. So yeah, I'll see you soon for the next project.